Okay, so I know it's been a while since I've actually done a One Punch Man chapter review, but I'm back. I've actually been working on a new, pretty long video that will probably be coming out in like maybe a week or two. So, stay tuned for that. For those who have unsubscribed because I haven't uploaded for like 3 weeks, you can subscribe again because, I'm just working on a bigger project for now. But let's start off with this chapter called New Home, which is chapter 172. And we basically see Saitama pretty much straight off from the last chapter. He's, talking to Black S at the moment, and Black S is basically trying to convince Saitama that he is some sort of monkey, because we know that Saitama has pretty much accepted Rover like a pet dog or whatever, but we know that Black S is still trying to convince Saitama that he should also take him in as well, because Black S has finally realized that Saitama is, the one above all. Like, he's completely insane, his strength is unmatched. So we see that as Saitama is walking back to his new home, which we see in the distance is this big structure, and it is later on revealed in this chapter that this is actually the brand new Hero Association headquarters. And we see that someone is presenting like the structure of the new headquarters to like the rich people who are planning on living there now, since apparently there's a lot more monster activity going on. So a lot of these rich people want to be in somewhere safe, because in this headquarters we see that S-class heroes and A-class heroes are living here, and we see that there are actually two A-class heroes present who are Crescent Eyebrow and Green, who are ranked 24 and 25 in A-class. And we see that these rich people are basically just questioning whether or not the HQ is secure with the A-class heroes, because they're questioning that the A-class heroes are essentially humans just like themselves, which makes complete sense, because we've seen that time and time again in the series that A-class heroes aren't really that strong at all in the grand scheme of things. So keeping them there, is it really that efficient? It feels, me personally, I'll just keep the S-class heroes in there because they are more than enough to keep these guys safe. But we know that the S-class heroes, they're all not going to agree to stay in one place. So at the same time, the next best thing is A-class. But moving on, we see that as Saitama is getting to the headquarters, we see that the defense system is activated, and the defense system essentially sees Rover and Black S as threats, which does make sense because before they got turned to their little forms, they were dragon level monsters, and in the case of Black S, he was like probably above dragon in his platinum S form. So it would make complete sense why the defense system detected them as this huge threat. So the first, the level 1 system comes out, and the level 1 system is like this huge robot, and the robot swings towards Black S, but Saitama thinks the robot is swinging towards him. So Saitama straight up just chops one of the arms off with little to no effort, and we see that Saitama swings his arm backwards and slaps this robot to pieces with little to no effort once again, and this causes a huge explosion, and it triggers the system level 4. And we see that the system level 4 is like this robot with octopus like arms, and we see that as they're shining light down on Saitama and Rover and Black S, they send these huge beams towards Saitama, and as Rover and Black S try to avoid this, Saitama just once again just smacks these robots to pieces, and it triggers the alarm system within the headquarters. And we see that everyone is just kind of aware that something is trying to break in. But as we see the debris that Saitama leaves behind him, we see that Black S and Rover are still following Saitama, and now Black S is completely convinced that Saitama is definitely the right person to stick with. And we see that some of the security guards come out, and they're asking Saitama what happened, and they say that the machines cost 9 billion each to develop. And when Saitama hears this, he starts panicking, and he pretends that he doesn't know what's going on. But we see that King comes in to back him up and says, those robots just exploded on their own, which obviously that didn't happen. Saitama completely destroyed them. But next we see that Saitama gives back King his gaming thing, which is completely broken at this point. And next we see that Saitama, as he's heading in, and we see the A-class heroes kind of see Saitama having an actual conversation with King, which kind of piques their interest. And it kind of, I guess, gets them curious to see who Saitama really is. And we see at the end of the chapter, it says, A-class rank 39 hero caped Baldy. Now this is pretty big because we know that Saitama before this was a B-class hero, and you know, we know what really happened in the Monster Association arc. So I mean, it makes sense that he's A-class because people don't really know what he's done, but people just kind of know he was there and survived, which I guess is a feat of it, you know, in of itself. So I guess that's why the Hero Association decided to, you know, move Saitama up to A rank, which once again, we are the viewers and we know what's going on. It's something called dramatic irony. We know what's going on, but you know, the people in the actual story don't know what's going on because, you know, they don't know Saitama is the strongest man on earth. We saw that Saitama was, you know, he single-handedly defeated Cosmic Fear Garo on his own. I don't really know who's going to take the credit for this, like who actually takes the credit for Cosmic Fear Awaken Garo, you know, the person that defeated him, because you can't say it was like any of the other S-class because they were completely knocked out. But I'm guessing they're probably gonna give the credit to Blast because, you know, it makes the most sense because, you know, Blast is rank 1. He was present there, and, you know, I guess it does make sense with what Blast said. He was like, oh, he was going to come. He said, you know, he would appear when a god level threat appears. And I guess, you know, Cosmic Fear Garo, I guess we can pretty much claim that he is like a god level threat, which makes complete sense. He was able to go toe to toe with Saitama before Saitama decided to, you know, just grow completely exponentially and just completely outclass Garo in every way, shape or form. And you know, we saw what happened at the end of the fight. Saitama completely destroyed Garo. But at the end of this chapter, the one we just read together, or the one that just dropped like a few hours ago, I can say this is kind of a good way to ease back into the story because, you know, as someone who reads the webcomic, this is obviously like pretty much one-to-one to what happens in the webcomic. And I feel like a lot of people might not like this next arc as much because it's not as flashy. It doesn't have like insane power feats or whatever. It's more, you know, story oriented, which I guess is kind of what One Punch Man needed at this point, because the Monster Association was pretty much just a cluster of just fights after fights after fights. So I mean, if you want to, you know, read fights, you can always reread the Monster Association, because I mean, I've already done a video on all the fights in the Monster Association, and that video is like nearly 2 hours long. So you can kind of already visualize how long, you know, or how many fights there were in the Monster Association arc. But apart from that, this chapter was pretty good in my opinion. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And apart from that, I'll see you in my next video.